knowledge is power, but education around ourselves and our bodies, that's priceless.
Komel Caruso is the co-founder of HerMD, overseeing strategy, operations, marketing, and brand. Komel is the creator of HerMD's patient-centric brand and experience.
The life of a founder and an entrepreneur is crazy. And when you do something as deeply personal as healthcare, patient stories touch you.
As an entrepreneur and a founder, I lost my identity. And you equate failures and successes with the brand.
You have to remember that you are a human being outside of every role you play. And it's not selfish to take a moment for yourself, but oftentimes that is how we feel.
Let's dive into the HerMD difference.
I was in business school and we took a course on competitive advantage, and it's magic. There are so many small things you can do that really show you care and are just taking that extra step. And what I so deeply wanted for our patients was to feel magic, because women deserve that.
Expert care for menopause and sexual health, now just a click away. Virtual Care by HerMD offers longer visits, personalized treatment plans, and trusted providers, all from the comfort of home. Learn more at hermd.com. This episode was sponsored by HerMD. So we've been intense and we're nowhere near done, okay? But we're going to do a couple of rapid fire these are fun questions.
I love fun questions.
Okay. I already know some of these answers just because we are sisters, but I still want people to know. If you could move anywhere in the world.
Oh, geez.
Where would it be and why?
Italy. And she knows this. So, oh my God, I don't want to cry.
No, you
can cry. What has Jim done to me? Jim is my husband. It's been, the life of a founder and an entrepreneur is like pretty crazy. It's like amazing. It's definitely a roller coaster. People tell you it is. It is.
Oh,
and
yes.
There's highs and lows. And when you do something as deeply personal as healthcare, patient stories touch you. And so my husband is Italian by descent, and he just takes such good care of me. I have to
He does.
tell people that.
He does.
And he's an entrepreneur himself, so he totally gets it and understands. And he's an incredible chef. Mercifully, I married him and he's not single anymore. He's mine. But, he makes these amazing Italian meals. We have wine, and that feels like home. Mm-hmm. He feels like home. The Italian culture, food, that feels like home. And so we went to Italy on our honeymoon. That was the first time I ever went. Fell in love. And then we've subsequently gone back several times, and we took our kids there last summer. And, when I'm there, I just immediately decompress. Mm-hmm. And it feels like all the worries, all the everything just melts away. And I just feel so happy when I'm there. And so I feel like myself. It's just so interesting. And so I do love New Jersey. And New Jersey gets not a lot of love. I will say that. I think it's probably one of the best states. I truly love living in New Jersey, but I will eventually be in Italy.
Okay.
Yes.
There is that. I was watching Eat, Pray, Love the other day, and I thought about you.
Yeah.
Because they were talking to Julia Roberts about how, in the US, like we eat and then we feel guilty and then we get on the treadmill, or we like try to work off all the calories. But do you know what or maybe you don't know, and it's fine. We'll have to look it up later. The Italian term for the beauty or the art of doing nothing, like just.
Oh, geez.
I feel like that's what you're describing.
He's gonna fillet me later because he's doing Duolingo, and like he's getting better at Italian, and we're actually trying to get Italian citizenship. We're close, and so I'm gonna have to really brush up and learn. I don't know. La Dolce Vita is what they say, like the beautiful life. But I love food.
Oh, same.
I really love food.
Yes.
And they take their time there. Mm-hmm. They enjoy life. They enjoy food. They enjoy the beauty in things and the simplicity in things. And so I think nice.
They work to live rather than living to work.
100%.
And so HerMD Italy, maybe.
Yes.
Mine is, I love Europe as well. I love traveling. My nickname is Wanderlust. You know that. Yeah. But I just recently went to Portugal. And for me, I love Italy. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to start learning Portuguese. But if I could pick up and move anywhere,
300 days of sunshine, ocean, mountains, wine country, and food. Oh my God. And they're so nice there. My daughter thought people were AI. She was like, Mom, no one's really this nice. I was like, no, they're really nice. And they thought we were Portuguese. So I was like, okay, I'll fit right in. Right? I just have to learn the language.
Yeah. So, I have a good last name for living in Italy. I'll say that. Caruso.
Yeah, she has an amazing. And her son's name, I mean, we're not going to say it, but so he could be a soccer player, like literally. He's got an awesome name. What is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's considering, I mean, you made a major career change.
I did.
Yeah, and it's scary. So someone who wants to make a major career change, what is the one piece of advice you'd give them?
You know, this sounds cheesy, but I told my coach this too a couple years ago, what I wish I would have told myself. Believe in yourself. I think so often we don't. And we're our own worst critic.
Yeah.
And we're the ones who are judging ourselves. Like, and you look around a room and you think, gosh, how am I in this room? Or everyone knows more than me. Mm-hmm. And that's not the case. No. That's not the case. I mean, yeah, there's going to be smarter people in the room than me. And I hope there are. I don't want to ever be in a room where I am the smartest person. I want to surround myself with amazingly brilliant people. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a lot to offer and you can't make that change, and that you don't bring your own unique skill set, point of view, your own amazingness to the conversation. And so just believe in yourself, because you can do it. And that inner doubt, most other people don't feel that about you. You're feeling it more about yourself.
I think for me to sum it up, what you're saying, I learned, because I always assumed titles entitled people.
Yeah.
And I realize now that some of the best leaders didn't always carry the titles.
No.
So titles don't always entitle you. So even if you don't have the title, you can still do the work.
Oh, yeah.
This one's going to be hard. Or maybe it's not. Describe HerMD in just 3 words.
3 words. Okay. This is hard because I can be overly verbose.
You?
I have a lot to say about a lot of things, I think. So I'm going to start first with compassionate. We lead with compassion. And our patients deserve compassion.
Oh, God, yes.
Our providers deserve compassion because of what they do. I mean, to give yourself in rooms for 8 hours a day to people who need you takes a lot.
It does.
And so we lead with compassion. I would say we're cutting edge.
Love that one.
And I think you have to be. You have to be, because research for women's healthcare, we'll leave it at that. Not really a priority. Will continue to be scrutinized. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but we live in a male-dominated society, and so you have to be cutting edge. You have to think outside the box, evidence-based, but cutting edge, right? Because we need to bring the education, the treatment option, the conversation. Even in conversation, you need to be cutting edge, because you have to have people be comfortable with talking about it. And people want to talk about menopause. They want to talk about sexual health. 10 years ago, when we started doing it, not so much. Even 5 years ago, no. But if you continue to be cutting edge, that's when you start to break through barriers. So I'd say we're cutting edge. And the third is vibrant.
Okay. I love that one.
Because we want our patients to feel vibrant. I talked with someone the other day and she's like, this is it. This is menopause. And it was so down. I was like, sit up. This is like
amazing.
Going to be the best time in our lives. Yes, we have all this crap we have to deal with from head to toe, the symptoms, but there are treatment options, and we have more financial freedom than we did in our 20s. 20s were fun, but I'm so glad I'm in my 40s. Many of us have our children that are getting a little bit older, which is nice, a little bit more freedom there. And we know who we are.
Yes.
Way better than we did. Like, I look back at myself when I was in my 20s and I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
I didn't know shit. I did not know. I did not know. And I know now, and I'm still learning. I talked to my mom and I'm like, I still have a lot to learn.
Yes.
But I know myself better and I feel more comfortable with myself. And so, you want to feel vibrant. You don't want to be like, this is it. Sit up. You have decades of a great life ahead of you, and it should be vibrant, and you should feel vibrant.
Love it. You were always a reader. I remember going into your room and just seeing the stacks on your little, oh my God, what's that bed or table that like...
It was like a bureau or, I had a window seat. I had a window seat.
Window seat.
Yeah.
And she had like books there.
Yes.
What's a book or resource that has profoundly influenced your approach to, not life, but business specific?
Oh gosh. This is a funny one, and I have a lot of people on my team read this. It's called Secret Service. It's not about the Secret Service like the FBI or the government, although I find that topic very fascinating. But it's about the secret service that you can offer to your customers or your patients, and the small things that actually mean a lot.
Yes.
And make a huge difference to then inspire not only brand loyalty, which is amazing, and you create fans, but it makes your customer, your patient feel good.
Yes.
Right? And we want our patients to feel good.
Yes.
And then we want them to keep coming back too, right? And spread the word about how amazing HerMD is. But there are so many small things you can do that don't cost a lot, that really show you care and are just taking that extra step. And so I highly recommend that book. It's an easy read, but it unlocks that. And I think it's so important.
Yeah, she mentioned, liking politics and talking about that kind of stuff. If Komel was anything else, she would be a private investigator. My children are afraid to tell their aunt names of people they are dating, because in a minute, Komel will have a page and a half on them of what clubs they belong to and any trouble they've gotten into. And so we joke that Komel could have been a PI.
I do like it. I do like the investigation.
Yes.
It's the curious nature in me.
She goes down rabbit holes, folks.
It's a positive.
She goes down rabbit holes. If you could, this one's so hard too, because there's so many myths out there. Oof. If you could debunk one myth about women's healthcare, like the number one myth that you want to just throw in the trash, which one is it?
Oh, gosh.
Because there's so much work to be done.
There's so much work to be done. I feel like when I want to debunk that when you're menopausal, you're old.
Love it.
I mean, because I thought that. We talked about how when I was 15,
I thought watching the Golden Girls.
Yeah, I thought 45 was like literally ancient. I thought she was so old.
Yes.
And when you look, like when you start to look back, like the Golden Girls, they were in their 40s and they looked like, they were beautiful, but they were portrayed, they were portrayed like they were in their 70s or something. And, that's just not true, that we're old and dried up and like, that's it. That is certainly not it. I'm perimenopausal. I'm not done. No. And I want to live a really great, fun life. And I feel young. I don't feel old. I think
No, you're hashtag goals, girl. You are hashtag fashion goals.
No, I'm laughing because I think we were talking the other day, we were driving and we were talking about shows we were going to watch. And I was like, I just can't wait till the Summer I Turn Pretty comes out. I think it's July or whatever. And I was like, I'm 50. I feel like I
turned to you
15.
and I said, no, you are literally 15 years old. I said, no wonder my girls love hanging out with you more than they like hanging out with me.
I love that stuff.
No, I was laughing because I was remembering Father of the Bride.
Yes.
That couple, they were in their 40s.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And they seemed so old.
I was like, what did they, but they portrayed them
that way. And it's just not the case. And so I think.
No, because think about Diane Keaton in real life. Oh. She's like, what was that video where she was like.
It was Miley Cyrus Flowers. I want to be that.
I want to be her. Yeah. Right? And that's how many decades later?
1,000%. And so there's just this like stigma and culture around, you're menopausal. Like, don't even say you're menopausal. Now, thankfully, we can. Yes. And so many people are,
thanks to Hallie and Naomi and Michelle Obama and Oprah, right?
And there's power in that because we have decades of knowledge, we have experience, we feel great about ourselves. And so not old, not at all.
Love it. What's your go-to strategy? This is hysterical because we know there's no work-life balance for entrepreneurs.
Oh, God,
You're always going to be a state of perpetual imbalance.
Yes.
But what is your go-to strategy for maintaining some type of work-life balance?
That's a really good question. So I listened to this TED Talk. It was a very short TED Talk. So I highly recommend it, although I feel bad I can't remember the title of it exactly. But it was about finding moments of joy. Mm-hmm. And so even if you find a moment of joy that's like a minute, it can vastly change your day. Like where you have joy and you're laughing.
Yes.
And so for me, I mean, you know this because you're my sister. It revolves around a few things. Food.
Oh, God. Yep.
Shopping. I do love to shop. But I will say the one thing is sports. I am a huge sports fan, huge Michigan fan. And so my family and I find those moments of joy in sports, whether it's watching sports, traveling to see, our favorite team. We have... Sadly, but go Jets, I guess. We're season ticket holders. And then I travel often to see sports teams. And I find such immense joy when I'm in a stadium or I'm surrounded by other sports fans or I'm at a restaurant or bar watching my favorite sports team or watching my son on, the football field. Those moments of joy just bring so much happiness and they carry over. And you have to carve out a little bit of time to have joy and laughter.
I agree with you because I made this mistake myself. Mm-hmm. As an entrepreneur, as a founder, I lost my identity sometimes for months at a time. Mm-hmm. And you would equate your failures and your successes with the brand. And it became interchangeable. And if you forget who you are, almost like sometimes moms do, right? Your whole identity is mom or a wife or whatever, an employee. If you don't do that and remind yourself who you are at your core, it's very, very detrimental to mental health and to those around you who love you.
It is. I mean, yes, you have to remember that you are a human being, right? You're a human being outside of every role you play, from founder to entrepreneur to mom to wife to sister to, whatever. You're also a human who has their own needs and wants and desires. And it's not selfish to take a moment for yourself. But oftentimes that is how we feel, that if we take this moment for ourselves, we're not doing X, Y, and Z for, the business, the job, the other person, etc. But running on empty is not great. And I had to learn that.
All right. So you and I, founders, raised a little bit of money as minority founders together. What, like $40 million, right? We're not going to talk about our competitors, but let's dive into the HerMD difference because we had to explain to people when you're raising money, they're like, well, how are you different than X, Y, and Z?
Right.
And so from the feel of the space that you were instrumental in, because I am not the designer and the one who really wanted to cultivate and translate the brand into the feel, Komel did that. But bringing in cutting edge innovations like Endosee and Sonata and Dices, which was a way that women could see their pap smear and actually be a part of it.
Right.
Imaging, surgery, and spa, all in the space. What inspired you to create such a comprehensive yet welcoming environment?
So I wish I was like the evil genius that she thinks I am, or like not the evil, the brilliant genius. I was in business school at NYU and we took a course on competitive advantage. And I was very inspired by Disney's competitive advantage.
I love Disney too.
And Disney identified their competitive advantage as something intangible. But I was like, but they made it tangible. And I said, we're going to make it tangible also. And it's magic.
I love magic.
It's magic. And how do you make that tangible? So a lot of people are familiar with Disney. I believe so. They thought about how could they give magic to their customers at every single touch point. And so I was really, really inspired by that. And I've been to Disney several times and I'm like, you know what? they got it down. You know, from every interaction you have at a park, at a hotel, you know, at, you know, the movies, or, you know, you're buying something that's a Disney brand, you feel that magic. And so that is what I so deeply wanted for our patients, was to feel magic, whether they went on the website and they finally felt seen and heard in the language or the imagery or the videos we use. They had to see themselves, because so often we don't. And then when you get to the front desk, no clipboards, no sliding plastic, you know, between you and the person you're trying to check in with and converse with. Like, that needs to be personal. You need to be welcomed and recognized. You don't want to sit in somewhere where it's cold and the lighting is bad and it's this plastic sticky seat where you're like, you get up and you hear that vinyl. You know, like, those things matter. Have coffee, have tea, have drinks. We thought about every touch point, and we thought about the patient and why she's coming in, and oftentimes feeling dismissed and not seen. She had to be seen and heard every step of the way. And then in the exam rooms as well, with the training of our providers, having them sit with patients and listen and ask questions and not type on computers, and giving them a robe and soft lighting and really nice music. I mean, we had to have it feel really great, because women deserve that.
And I'm going to give you 2 concrete examples that Komel was behind. So one of them was, you know, IUD pain and exam pain had never been addressed really for women. And we had come up with a medical way to deal with it that was simple and cost a few dollars. We said like $4.
Yes.
But then Komel took that, and I forgot what you called it, but basically it was a pain-free menu. So you came in and you opted, would you like Pronox? What would you like so that we can help you mitigate your pain?
Right.
And that's what you got. You don't get that. That's magic in medicine.
Yes.
And then the other thing is I went through an infertility journey. And, you know, there's a test that you have to go through to see if your tubes are open. And normally you have to go to the hospital, right, and get that done. Yeah. At HerMD, we did it with this thing called FemView, which took water and air and basically created bubbles. And so at HerMD, we called it the champagne test, because, you know, infertility sounds so scary, and that word, like,
it makes you, I struggled with infertility too. It makes you feel defunct. Like you're broken. It just makes you feel like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. So then who doesn't want to get offered a champagne test?
I
mean, right. Instead of going to the hospital, going and getting dye in your uterus, who wants to do that? And what was so nice is that the partner could be in the room, as opposed to in the hospital, they couldn't.
Right.
And so those were innovations, and that we got, our patients understood.
Right.
But when we explained that to the investors, and then, by the way, she did this beautiful job of explaining how beautiful and elegant all of this is. But when we pulled data, we smashed the status quo with outcomes.
100%.
Peer-reviewed, and showed them at major medical conferences. So we were much more than a pretty face or space.
Exactly. And that's, you know, it's a key differentiator to be evidence-based and create an environment where patients feel seen, feel heard. They're given time, actual time with a provider. You know, it's putting all of those things together so that it's, you know, a service-based company. You're in health care. You're not transacting on things.
So, future vision. Before menopause hit the mainstream, I mean, HerMD opened 10 years ago.
Yes.
And we opened with wait lists thousands deep. What did you see in the market that others didn't? Because now there's this menopause gold rush, and I think sexual health care is next.
Yes.
So what did you see? How did you turn that into momentum before the rest of the industry even caught up?
That's a great question. So I saw and heard and took the time to go to a lot of different markets, and you know, education, and I think it's because of my background at Kaplan, you know, taught me a lot. When you're educated, that, you know, knowledge is power. And our father always told us, like, and our mother, like, no one can take your education away from you. Invest in your education. And so often that means, investing in your degrees and college.
Yes.
But education around ourselves and our bodies, that's priceless.
Critical.
And so I felt I wasn't educated about my body at all. And then when I started going to educational events and hosting them, honestly, first, because I saw that when I talked to you and we did the podcast, it's like, God, women really, I'm not the only one. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, am I the only one who doesn't know? Like, no. And so it's like, God, we're doing such a disservice. Like, women want to know. And then when we talk to them, they were just like almost jumping out of their seats. And the feedback we get is, this is the first time anyone's ever told me this. I've learned more in this like 1 hour event than I have in decades of going to the doctor. Like, no one's ever explained it to me like that. No one's ever acknowledged it or given me the time. And so going around and doing the podcast and listening to women across the country in different rooms, in different states, in different cities, different cultural, religious, socioeconomic backgrounds, the one thing remained the same. They all felt like almost clueless about what was going on with them. And so that is where I locked in, was like, we have to lead with this because no one's giving this to women. And there's a huge opportunity to do so much good just by talking to them. And then you establish that trust and that rapport. You're not talking down at someone, you're talking with them.
I remember someone comparing being at a HerMD opening event to being at a, what did she say, Rolling Stones?
A Rolling Stones concert.
I think you and I would prefer Taylor Swift. I'm turning 50 this year. Yeah. I'm calling it my 50 Swiftie year. Yeah. We both love Taylor Swift. I told you, she's 15, maybe I'm 18 at heart, but we both, but that's the kind of magic and medicine that you created. Yeah. So I love talking to you always as my sister.
It's so fun.
And co-founders, which people find interesting. And maybe in another episode, we'll dive into what that's really like and you can learn about me. But I think what you're telling people is believe in yourself.
Yes.
No more cares about the imposter syndrome.
Right.
Understand your patient, your consumer, like truly understand them and approach it from their mindset.
Right.
And don't forget about yourself in this process. And I think it's okay to have fun at work.
You have to have fun at work. You spend a lot of your life and many, many hours of your day at work. You love it, find people you love to do it with. And I would say magic is real. It is. You can create magic.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to sit here and read your bio so you can sit here and listen to how accomplished she is. And I know I'm a little biased because she's my sister, but really she's this accomplished. So Komel Caruso is the co-founder of HerMD. She is the lead executor of HerMD's vision, overseeing strategy, operations, marketing, and brand. A marketing and brand enthusiast, Komel is the creator of HerMD's patient-centric brand and experience. Prior to joining HerMD, Komel spent over 15 years as a leader in operations, marketing, and branding with the edtech space at Kaplan, Story 2, and Apple Ruth Education. She earned her Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from the University of Michigan and her Master's in Science in Integrated Marketing from NYU. She was most recently featured as NJ Mom's Mompreneur of the Week, as well as in New Jersey Family. She has been a featured speaker at the Women and Worth Summit and at Luminary and at Hey Mama's Women Who Innovate Summit 2023. She is a proud member of the Female Founder Collective, and in 2025, Komel was named one of the 50 trailblazing leaders in menopause. It has been my most incredible pleasure to have you on The Disruptor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was so fun.